You have seen these guys in my previous videos already, but what are they even made for? Well, at the moment I'm working on a skirmish game which takes place around 2100. And the reason I'm even making this is because I wanted to have a game where I can easily make up rules for some of my favorite toys from earlier, as well as the aforementioned custom miniatures that I'm currently having, making, etc. These are old figures from a series called Gormiti. They have new ones, but they absolutely look nothing like these here. For what they are, they look like genuinely cool monsters. And I play these water type figures here as deep sea owls in one-page rules, but for this game I'm making up some lore for some factions so that I can use these figures in them. That's as easy as it is. And in order to test this game, I'm currently playing a little solo campaign where I simply play with the rules that I made up, add and change things when I feel like, here, for the current narrative this would be cool, such as like, this is the first time I am playing with elevated terrain, so wouldn't it be cool to have a rule for throwing models off if they stand near an edge? Because there was one scene where this could be cool, so I just added that rule and tried to work it into later. I'm also a big fan of sci fantasy, which especially the first Xenoblade Chronicles game essentially is. In this game you're fighting against mechanical monsters from this guy here. This is a titan called the Mechonis. We are Homs, or humans, from the Bionis. You can kind of see them fighting it out here. Essentially these titans, they fought, life was born on them, they died during trying to kill each other, and now we have to defend ourselves from a pretty strong foe, because these are high-tech monsters, and we are, especially, except for this fancy sword here, we are using basic weaponry. And here, I kinda like to have a game where I can use both fantasy and sci-fi miniatures as I please. I mean, I can do that even if I don't have a game like that, because when I play solo or when you play with friends, a wise man said every game is model agnostic if you believe in yourself. But another reason why I'm doing this is, I don't know why exactly, but ever since I started this hobby, I just wanted to have a setting that is similar to Code Vein. In Code Vein, it's basically a Souls-like game where you have a really awesome character editor. Actually, the second game is coming out soon on PlayStation 5. And yeah, you're mostly in an, as you can see here, apocalyptic setting where the town is full of these amazing spikes and it all collapses, and there are these beings running around that have turned into monsters because they have breathed in the mist, which transforms them into the so-called Lost, if I remember that correctly. And we as a player, we are actually a vampire-like being infected by a parasite that always turns us into dust when our heart stops beating or something. Basically, when we're nearly dead, this thing turns us into dust and brings us back to a checkpoint, essentially a bonfire, to ensure that it can survive. And it's a pretty cool setting, and especially the character designs here on the page, and I just love the combination of black and red. I firmly believe that this is the best combination of colors that exists out there. Now, I'm also a strong fan of Resident Evil, and That is also a game where, especially the second game, you have an apocalyptic setting, and not really apocalyptic, but an entire town is infected and zombies and mutants, all kinds of stuff is running around. So essentially, this game is me trying to make something out of this. Now, these guys are actually inspired by the generic enemies of Cold Vein that you can encounter, because I saw that the Revenants have these interesting branches, shapes, which remind me of the spikes from those enemies, and just the issue before Stormbringer magazine came up with those was containing the Boinkrot bouncers, which all came with 2 head options, and one of them were these cool little helmets, and I thought these would be perfect to replace the masks that these enemies wear in Code Vein. So I essentially just picked a bunch of different options here because I didn't want to use them as souvenirs anyway. So the idea of this setting is that an influential family has managed to flood the world with their blood. And said blood has, well, unhealthy side effects if you consume it. And because they managed to flood the world with it, everything is now reacting to it. Plants, sea creatures, obviously humans, animals, everything is suddenly in contact with this substance. And while especially the humans were studied throughout over a bunch of decades, unexpected things are bound to happen if you suddenly expose literally everything to it. And I was thinking about artificial creatures, about machines, robots that were suddenly brought to life after being submerged by this blood. I definitely wanted them to have some kind of tank, something that shows that they need blood to survive. Some kind of see-through tank which is filled with blood, and it gets less and less the more the machine is active, and they need to consume more of this blood to keep running, which is why I called them the blood drivers. They want to be more like real creatures. They want to be seen as real human kind of beings. And I was also thinking about things that I could use to sketch build, because I always wanted to try to sketch build. Collected a bunch of junk, threw it away because I never used it. And today I got my hands on something interesting. Small little pearls that I found that I used for fishing, and they can glow in the dark to lure in fish. And they came in 2 shapes, marbles as well as these little cylinders, I call them. And so, using this bit from the Caradon Mini, I decided to sketch out this little guy here, which I call the Hiker. He's going to be a party member of my warband in my solo campaign. And also the very first scratch build model. The very first I ever made, at least. So this is the very first time I'm doing this, and it just feels just as I imagined it. It is quite fun, honestly, using the techniques that you have learned over the last year. I don't have sculpting stuff, so my green stuff appliance looks a bit rough. And here, I hope this holds. I have emptied these pieces into the green stuff, and I'm basically using wood glue and hope that it holds it together well enough. Yeah, at the moment it just all comes together more or less naturally, and it kind of makes me happy. So I actually hoped this would hold better, thanks to these little holes in the beads. I thought and put it on here and glue it and maybe position it as I pleased, but it just didn't want to hold, so using more green stuff. It is actually ridiculous how much green stuff you need to create such a silly little figure. But maybe that's just because it's my first attempt, and also it doesn't need to be perfect. So yeah, so far this is how it looks. I can't show the entire thing, I will do that once that's dry. It keeps falling over. I don't know how to pin models, and yeah, I just hope it stands upright.
Tomorrow.
So I think the funniest and most addicting part to this is just to keep adding stuff to it. So I added some more cables and pipes, or rather this cable should serve as a pipe, because again, this thing right here, it's basically its heart. It is the core that lets blood flow through the body and basically powers it. And I came to the idea that having something so precious, something that makes them human and proud, why not make it so that they decorate it a little? So it is also a hiker, so it makes sense to have all these kind of leather pouches here. I don't know from which kit it is, I think I got it from the body. Just like the pistol, some more wires, and then I thought, so he is a hiker, which means he's traveling around a lot, so why not? I don't know if I'm going to add dirt there, but why not make it so that he has this mushroom piece that is growing on his tank, or maybe even out of his tank, and that lures in insects. I don't know, I like to have an insect as a companion on a miniature every now and then. And well, yeah, he basically has some mushrooms growing for some reason, and that lures in insects every now and then. So yeah, it also is a testament that he is not just a machine, he is a living being, because yeah, these mushrooms, they still grow, but I actually don't know if mushrooms need blood to grow. So I am now kind of tinkering. The back is now packed with stuff. I think we can call this part finished, and I was thinking how to decorate the front, because it still looks largely untextured, and I don't really have a tool to make little... I mean, I could use this here to basically create some little punches with cardboard that I could glue on it, but I kinda don't want to glue it onto the miniature itself. I do that on the base, but I don't know about on the miniature. And so I was trying out. I have this bit here lying around for a long time. There's this stupid hand attached to it. I mean, I could just cut it off and just lose a little bit of the net, but I kind of want to do something with it, but I never know what I should do with that exactly. And then I was like, what if I put it around here somewhere, just like a little bit like that, to get him some covering. Actually, this could be something cool for some corrupted of these. I don't want to make all of them the same. They are they are not just a faction that is running around. Actually, every mutated being in this world is not supposed to be a gang of groups that are all working together. Like, these also have their own subcultures, and some of them, like this guy, just hike around and want to discover things. Others build cities, and others, well, become so obsessed with the thought of becoming, wanting to be human, that they rip them apart and decorate their bodies with their hands and shit. But not this guy. He's a friendly little guy with his bug body. So then I thought, this looks kind of cool, but also a bit difficult to attach and not really organic. And so I thought, because I definitely wanted some texture, why not take some insect mesh net, is that how you call it, and put it on him so that he is a little bit to wear, like little iron crates or chainmail, whatever. Most important thing about scratch building is to have enough texture. It doesn't need to be overload, though details are important. And yeah, I think this model has now a decent amount of details from all shapes and angles. Like, you should always see something interesting, no matter from where you look at it. And I think... oh, shit. I think I managed to do that. So, yeah, I just hope I managed to prime this well, and nothing comes off, please. So this is the part that I was the most excited about, because once you prime the entire thing, I did it with Army Painter's brush on primer this time. So what I was saying is, once you prime everything and all that junk and the bits and the green stuff, once it all becomes literally unified through this one color, it seems like something that belongs together. This is the first step of completing the model. So I have now base coated everything in Lead Belcher from Games Workshop. What I'm going to do next is to texture the ground, though I should probably paint a bit of that stuff in Lead Belcher too. Yeah, and one funny thing, by the way, I searched for my texture paint for like a few weeks, and only now I did realize this is the texture paint, but I didn't recognize it because it's not white anymore. Simultaneously, I have actually working on my art boys, which I'm, well, also going to use as goods for my game, as you might have figured out. Only thing missing is the base on these three models, and I'm actually not very pleased with the black only bases on the other ones, so... oh, there's actually a fourth unfinished base. But yeah, the models themselves are finished. I maybe get to the bases next week, but yeah, I gotta see. Maybe I start painting Terminators or Sisters of Battle or Novitiates. I have now realized that the Novitates kill team is actually called Novitiates. At least everybody else calls them that. And here is the end results. This was really fun. It was similar to building a kit bash, because I had to figure out, okay, what do I want to do with it? And especially the front part. Actually, I should probably wash the inside too. But yeah, never mind that now. It was fun to figure out, okay, what kind of trash could I use on this. I had some stuff left that I actually put away for this occasion. A little bit of sprue cut-offs and bits that I accidentally cut during the process of this model and other attempts of kit bashing that I, well, screwed up, or they were just junk leftovers, and put them on. You're just trying out different stuff, how to texture the model, how to give it depth. Yeah, I think I would say this is a nice result for the first Scratch build. I can definitely recommend trying it out. Of course, it's not perfect, and I hope that it will hold it together. But yeah, for now, this is the Hiker, the very first custom-made miniature for my own game. And considering that this is also one of the miniatures of one of the factions that I was looking forward the most to build stuff, and I have yet to find a line of miniatures that I could use that go in a similar style with a tank on the back and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it goes definitely into the direction that I want this line of characters to be, and yeah, it just really makes me kind of happy to have this here. Either way, I can't wait to get some rules done for this guy and to field him with the rest of the gang to fight the evil ghouls of Draymar. Also, I don't know where else to put this, but when I showed the work in progress of this miniature and the sketches around, I was explaining a little bit about the lore of this guy, and then I got to think about this one, and I have decided that these creatures, I definitely want to make a robot with a see-through tank on the back at some point, but I still gotta figure out how I'd want to do that. Basically, I decided that these guys, the plumbers, are the mages of the blood drivers, and they are essentially using pipes as their rods. Why are they using pipes? Because pipes are used to transport liquids, and blood happens to be a liquid. So for them, it's basically the literal path of life. Let's just say blood is very important in this game and has some pretty interesting abilities. I might tell you more about it in the next episode. But for now, I wish you a good evening, or whatever time it is at the moment.